Tehila, how did you find carnivore?
Well, I went to a conference about a year and a half ago and met a medical doctor there who told me about carnivore. And I was able to straight away dive in and ask him from a medical perspective. I was very open to different eating plans. I've always been kind of a yo-yo dieter and very open to trying new things. So he had told me he lost 15 kilos in 3 months, and then he introduced me to someone else, one of his patients who was there, who had lost 25 kilos in 3 months. And I just imagined myself slim and gorgeous like a few weeks later. So I was very keen to try it, and asked him a whole lot of questions, just kind of safety, health questions, and went home, literally started the next day. Yeah, literally. I didn't have to think about it, didn't do my own research really. It sounded good, it looked good, it sounded yummy. I loved meat. Not too long before that, I have a good friend who's a vegan, and I had tried vegan, and after about 6 weeks, I honestly felt like I was going to die. I just felt terrible. I had no energy. I just felt physically terrible, like weak and sick, you know. So I was quite ready to come out of that and just jumped right into carnivore, really. Yeah.
Wow. And was it, what was your kind of motivation? Was it more about the weight loss, or was it just I just want to feel better?
Yeah, both really. I want to feel better, but I want to lose weight. That's always been my motivation. When I have tried to lose weight just for that purpose alone, though, if when that has been my why in the past, hasn't lasted. That's why I'm a yo-yo dieter. I just, 2, 3 weeks, it's not quite working. I'm too tempted to eat other things again. Just doesn't last. But when I have done things before for my health, that's why I even lasted 6 weeks on vegan. I was kind of thinking it was good for my health. And with carnivore, speaking to this doctor, he did explain to me how healthy and natural it is for the way we're designed, and yeah, for our body. So I was willing to try it really for both. I think started it for health, but really hoping it would help me lose weight. Yeah,
Right.
which it hasn't. Which it hasn't. Yeah. Um,
Oh, so it hasn't helped with the weight loss,
no,
or?
no, it hasn't. I actually initially lost about 3 or 4 kilos, which is say 8 or 9 pounds, but quite quickly put it back on again when I started doing something called priming, which your viewers might be familiar with, which is like more eating 3 times a day. That's because my hair started falling out, and I was told by a naturopath, a carnivore naturopath, that I'm probably not eating enough protein. I was more focusing on the fat, which many carnivores do, but I realized quite quickly that my body does need a certain amount of protein. So when I started eating more protein, the scale did go up again. I have lost a couple of dress sizes though, so my body composition has changed. But on the scale, I'm pretty much exactly where I started out. Yeah. The difference is, Dave, that I'm okay with that now. I'm okay with that. I feel so confident and so good with who I am. I feel like there's nothing better I could do for my body. And so I'm okay with being just looking the way I am. I have had five gorgeous children. So my body's never going to go back to being 49 kilos when I got married before that. But I weigh 73 kilos now, and sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more, give or take. But I know there's nothing else better that I could be doing. So I'm okay if this is the way I look. I feel so good that I feel like the picture of health, the epitome of health. And so I think that's one of the greatest surprises of my journey, that I've come to terms with the way I look, even though it is a bit more chubby than I would like to look.
I think that's a thing that a lot of people I've spoken to happens is like you kind of weight loss is one of the main reasons you think about going carnivore,
Yeah,
because you hear about a lot of people losing weight. And
yeah,
then once you start it, you get so many health benefits that you think, you know what, I'm not that interested in the weight loss. If it happens, it happens. I'm just happy that I'm sleeping better. I have more energy.
yeah,
I'm not as anxious
yeah,
anymore, things
yeah.
like that.
100%, 100%. And that comes with confidence. It comes with a whole other array of benefits when you are content within yourself. And, you know, one of the things that I discovered about carnivore in this process is that it is a lifestyle. So not only, I thought I was just going to be changing my eating habits, which I did, and there was the foundation of a whole other bunch of changes that happened naturally that I desired to happen. And for example, just the things I put on my skin now. I've just eliminated everything unnatural. I actually have a little show and tell here. So, for example, I use the shampoo bar. I just use it for my washing my body as well and everything. And it just made honestly, I could eat the shampoo bar if I was in dire straits because it's so natural. It's got like these natural butters and avocado and these natural oils, rosemary and things. So I've started only for a year and a half. That's what I've been washing my hair with, washing my body with, washing my face with. I even have been making my own. This is going to grow some people. I've been making my own toothpaste because there's so many nasties in toothpaste. And so I researched. It didn't take long on YouTube how to make it. This is probably the color that most people's toothpaste are before they artificially whiten it and do all kinds of things to it. But and actually, I landed up going to a dentist just for a checkup. I've had terrible teeth, genetics, my whole life. And I landed up going to this natural dentist. And within the first 3 minutes, we both discovered that we're carnivore. He, too, has been on carnivore for 5 years. It was such a surprise to me. And he said that all the carnivore patients that he sees, their microbiome and the like lack of issues going on in their mouths is across the board. And it was one of the first times in my life when I actually went to a dentist. I didn't need thousands of dollars of work. I had nothing. I didn't even have a filling after a year and a half of carnivore. He literally told me, I told him I make my own toothpaste now. He said, you can't outbrush a bad diet. That was such good advice. In other words, your diet is the foundation of your everything that goes on in your mouth. And no matter how well you take care of it, it doesn't really matter. Like, in other words, and you can be eating the worst diet in the world with using the best toothpaste in the world, you're going to have issues. So that was interesting. So even when I kind of want to dye my hair, I'm a grandmother now, so I use like natural henna, like plant-based henna. There's no carnivore henna, but plant-based henna. And I just use natural things on my body. I use natural like white vinegar, just white vinegar from the shop as my cleaning to clean my bathroom and my kitchen and things like that now. So I've like eliminated a lot of toxins, not just out of my body, but off my skin and in my home. So it's really become kind of a lifestyle for me. Even becoming more minimalistic and de-stressing from stuff. Even becoming like doing de-stressing as far as doing the important before it gets urgent. So if I have a birthday party to go to on Saturday, I'll buy and wrap the present on Monday and not stress like, oh, Saturday morning, this is what I used to do, don't have a gift. Just like de-stressing, minimalizing, that kind of thing. It's just so it all started really from carnivore, like from having that clean foundation in my body. And then it's kind of been expressing itself outwards as well. I go to a chiropractor once a week now just to align myself. And just what else have I written down here? Grounding when I'm in New Zealand, where I am. We hang our laundry outside. We don't really have dryers. And so, like, I do that barefoot grounding, it's like electrical, it sounds weird, but like electrical currents, like from the earth. And even taking one day off a week, which is like a rest day. My goal on that day is to get under 10 steps on my Fitbit. Okay, under 10 steps, literally bathroom back, that's it. And it's just been life-giving for me to have a rest day and slow down, and so I just feel like carnivore has really become a lifestyle for me. Yeah, it's been wonderful. It's
Right.
been
Tho
wonderful.
those rest days are really important, right? Because we often attribute, like these days, we often feel like if we're taking a rest, we're
Yeah.
wasting time
Mm.
and that kind of
Being
thing. But
unproductive. Yeah.
yeah, but
Yes.
it's really important because we have so many distractions now
Mm,
with like smartphones and internet and
mm,
everything
mm,
that we don't get the same downtime in our minds that
mm.
we did when we were kids, right?
Yeah.
Because, like,
100.
when you're a kid, you're always kind of thinking about things and all this kind of thing. Like, your
Mm,
mind was wandering into different things and you were
mm,
analyzing stuff and whatever.
mm.
We don't do that anymore because we're so distracted. Oh, I'll just check Facebook and see my notifications, or I'll just do this. And having that day to just calm your mind is really important.
That is very true because really my Sabbath rest is not only physical, like I say, I like to get less than 10 steps in, but it's also mental and emotional. And it's very much, I tend, because of the way we are today, I tend to try to catch up on computer work on that day. But even if I do a little bit, because I don't often sit down during the week, that's just helping me feel like I can be more productive and more start from a place of rest for the rest of the week. And I make sure, and I really honestly have to force myself to just unwind on that day too, just mentally, just watch a show or listen to a sermon or something to help me just unwind from, like, to switch my mind off. And this is part of my cleansing from the carnivore and the rest of life, is also noticing what I watch and how that affects me. Not because there's so much rubbish to watch now. Really, it depends on your belief system. But I don't like to watch stuff with a lot of swearing and a lot of nudity and a lot of violence. And so, whereas before I would have just to switch off, maybe just not being as selective. Now I'm a lot more selective to detox my mind and just not to put stuff in there that pollutes my mind. Because it's like you say, our minds are busy enough, and we just want to detox them too.
Right. So, how have the people around you have they noticed this change in you? Like,
Oh, yeah.
you've got all the natural products around you. You're eating differently.
Yeah.
What have they said?
Definitely noticed. Unfortunately, the people around me aren't as supportive as I would like them to be. But I'd say after a year and a half, they've just accepted and have noticed, have seen that it's good for me. I think seeds are being sown. My children, many of them are still quite young, and I think seeds are definitely being sown. In the way, like, if we're shopping for something, they'll say, "Oh no, mom, that's not going to be good for my skin," or that's not healthy. Like, look at the sugar content in there. So I can see that they're definitely kind of subscribing to some of the more natural ways as a result. And I'm quite happy with that. My husband is recently, I did an interview, a year ago, and my husband had recently started carnivore too, but he stopped for most of the year and he's just recently gone back to it. So it's just it's a process. It depends on who, the nature of my husband's work is he travels quite a lot, and it's hard to be and plan to do carnivore when you're traveling. In fact, I'm going to be traveling to the US in the summer, like in December, January, in our summer, and I'm literally. It's a big issue for me to plan how I'm going to eat, how I'm going to maintain clean carnivore during that time. I'm quite worried about it. And I've been trying to think of some ways. But when you're traveling, like my husband does, it is difficult. So I'm not blaming him or judging him for that. But yeah, so I definitely think that overall people are encouraging of me for me, but I want to see this change in other people too, which hasn't really happened. There is a family friend of ours who did start carnivore about a year ago as a result of a lot of my coaxing, and he's never looked back. Oh, he's a carnivore evangelist. Like, he does the work. Like, he's doing so well. He had so many health issues. He's lost a ton of weight. He's doing so well. He's off his meds. I didn't have such an extreme situation to start with. I will say that part of my lack of weight loss, I think, and I've realized, is that there are in each of our bodies, there are other things going on. I think genetics is part of them. I haven't been blessed with kind of skinny genetics. I think, for example, I've had thyroid, I'm on hypothyroid, and that makes a big difference. In the last year, as a result of listening to a natural thyroid expert on the internet, I started taking very high dose iodine, which is quite common among those the health gurus on the internet. And man, did I mess myself up. I landed up practically like in a hospital, because I swung from hypothyroid, which is underactive thyroid, all the way to hyperthyroid within a month probably, from taking high dose iodine, and was humiliating and embarrassing for me with all these doctors who aren't naturally minded. And I felt so bad because it kind of confirmed in their minds, oh, look, when you do something natural, it really swings you, it's dangerous, which is the very thing I didn't want them to think. But so it's been about a year's journey of kind of trying to get my thyroid balanced again. So, yeah, and there are factors in each of our bodies that you know that stop our weight loss or cause us to react in certain ways. And I think that's important. Carnivore is like everything; it's an individual sport. It's individual the way our bodies react and take to it, and and that's why we individually have to tweak it, according to how our bodies are speaking to us, kind of, so to speak. So, for example, one of the things I've noticed, not to mention bad things about carnivore, because I'm a complete believer and convert, believe me, and that's why I'm still on it for a year and a half. But I've noticed I have to supplement with calcium, because my nails have been much more brittle than ever before. But as soon as I supplement, I'm fine. And my iron, like, this is another thing that to do with my own body, and it might be connected, I think, to the thyroid, is my iron intake isn't very good. So even though I've been eating carnivore meat, eggs, my ferritin iron stores are very low unless I supplement. So that's, again, it's a personal thing, and some people might have no problems on carnivore. Other people might have other things going on in their bodies that they have to notice. I'd say, as long as you're listening to your body, um, you know, it's a wonderful, healthy, safe way to eat, and a very, very good way to eat. Honestly, the healthiest, I believe.
Oh, um, just on the issue you had going from hypo to hyperthyroid,
Mhm.
do you mind me asking how much iodine were you taking that caused that to happen?
I was taking exactly what this doctor was saying to take, and he actually said you should actually be taking more. I believe I was taking 25 grams a day. So I was like, it was the Lugol's iron liquid, which I believe in every drop is 12 and a half grams. The recommended daily allowance, I think, is something like 100 micrograms, which definitely is too low, ridiculously low. But so I think of 100 micrograms or 150 micrograms, which is the RDA, recommended daily allowance. And I was taking 25 grams, which I was really hoping I believed this doctor who had written 17 books about it. But I guess for me, maybe because I was also taking my hypothyroid medication, which is I take whole thyroid. I think that may have also swung me because I was already taking thyroid stimulating natural but a drug kind of thing. So that might be why. But I still would caution, based on my experience, I would really caution people to take that high dose. Now that my thyroid is stabilized, I really would like to go maybe to taking like one drop of the Lugol's a couple of times a week, just because I think we are all iodine deficient. So I think that would, for me, maybe a good compromise.
Yeah. So how is your diet day to day? Like, you eating one meal, two meals a day?
Great question. I'm probably down to two meals now. I'm saying down because I was at one meal, my hair was falling out, went to three meals to just up the protein intake. So now I'm definitely, I would say, two meals for the most part. And one meal consists of, I'm in New Zealand, so we have lamb, the most beautiful lamb. So that's my favorite. I prefer lamb personally to steak, to beef. I do have both, but mainly, honestly, 90% lamb. So I'll have lamb once a day for one meal, and then my second meal will be about three eggs. So that's pretty much what I eat. I was eating more dairy, like Greek yogurt, kind of really stopped that. Sometimes as a treat, but I still do have, which I did tell you last year, a little bit of, and sometimes not so little bit of, dark chocolate, very dark chocolate, 92%. It's got a minuscule sugar. I have it. I have it right here. So this is what I have, like 92% Ghana blend cocoa. And the sugar intake for the whole slab is 6 grams. For per serving is 1.3 grams of sugar. And I don't usually have a serving, which is 5 blocks. I'll probably have 2 or 3 blocks a day. So honestly, it's half a gram of sugar, something like that. It's probably not ideal, but I listened to something online that this guy was saying basically you're going to die if you don't have dark chocolate. So he was saying everyone should be having it. It's got so many good health benefits. I think it's antioxidants, helps you oxalate dump and stuff like that. So I think it is beneficial for me. But I'm not saying everyone has to have it. It is a treat, and I feel like I do need a treat every day. Yeah.
Oh, nice. And so those two meals, are they like afternoon and evening, or breakfast, like when you first
Yes.
wake up, and lunch,
Yeah.
or?
No, it's usually probably around 11 to 12, and then again probably around 6 to 7. So a bit later.
Mhm.
And that's just when I feel hungry. I feel quite
Right,
hungry at that point already. Yeah.
right, right.
And I'm okay with it. Look, I'm not strict as far as I listen to my body. If I do want to eat a bit earlier, if I want to eat a bit more, if I'm want to eat a bit less one day, I just go with what my body says.
I think that's the best place to be, like, where you are just eating to feel comfortable, and then you
Yes.
go on with the rest of your life. There's no like, "Oh, how can I entertain myself now?" And.
Yes. Oh, listen, on that front, it's been absolutely life changing. I don't think any any of us realize the extent to which we think about food and think about deciding what to eat. Also, when to eat, because if you're not really hungry, you're thinking, oh, I should be eating soon. And it's, oh, planning when to eat, but also what to eat. And there's that decision fatigue. I used to think about food so much, much more than I realized I was. And when you're taking away that decision fatigue, you're in a much better place. You're more clear. It's like you have more bandwidth, mental bandwidth, to think clearly about other things and to concentrate on other things and invest your thought and your time in other things too. Food took up a lot of my time before, and it takes up literally probably 13 minutes a day now, and most of the work is the air fryer. you know, I'm probably eating, 7 minutes a day and maybe more, 10 minutes a day. And that's how much food takes up of my life right now, because I know what I'm going to eat. I just know what cooks my food, how long to just, press a button on the air fryer and that's it. Like it's freed up so much, really.
That's fantastic,
Mm.
and it makes you realize just how much of your life you were wasting before thinking about food, thinking about preparation, buying stuff, thinking, "Oh, I had that yesterday. What have I've got to change it up a little bit," all this
Exactly.
kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
when you take that out and you think,
yeah.
"This is hours a day that I'm
I know.
saving."
Literally, I know. And not only time wise, but like brain space wise as well, you know. Something that I've really found, also with carnivore is that also saves a lot of time is just the stable energy you have on carnivore. I used to have these major ups and downs, like I'd need a nap after every meal. I might not take one, but I would feel that slog and that, and then you're really slowing down in everything you're doing, physically, mentally, just you just can't really function. But with carnivore, that is probably one of my favorite advantages. I don't have those dips anymore, and that stable energy helps me to be more productive, helps me to be more joyful, helps me to be able to plan and just function on a much better plane in general in life, yeah.
So, for someone out here listening that hasn't tried carnivore, this sounds very enticing, you
Oh,
know?
good.
Um, so if someone was to ask you, "Okay, I'm willing to give it a try. I'm willing to give it 90 days and see if it helps me out." What advice or tips could you offer them based on your experience?
Well, the first thing I'd say is, if you're unwell, know that carnivore, I mean, you can do your own research. It just reduces inflammation in your body. And that is a big enough why I would think for anyone to start. I wasn't even aware of a lot of the inflammation, the little niggly things in my body. And I think that's a good place to start with your why. And so many people watching this will have issues, big and small. And so I would say, for your own, to be kind to yourself, definitely decide to give it a try. That's the first step. Um, you'll be operating from a higher baseline, when your body is in a better place. Practically, I would say, just like honestly, I practiced what I'm preaching to you, which is just start. I got back from the conference the next day, went to a supermarket, bought some meat, and just started. I bought an air fryer too, and I just started eating meat. I wasn't even tempted to still eat what was in my fridge or my pantry. And so I didn't even bother clearing my pantry or my fridge. And from the get go, I just noticed how delicious it is. I just thought, like, people who don't eat carnivore don't know what they're missing. It is so yummy, so filling. And I would say, honestly, that's all there is to it. Just buy some meat, cook it up, and just start eating. That will carry you to your next meal, where your memory will tell you, wow, that last meal was so delicious and so satiating. I just want to continue doing this again. It depends, I suppose, where you're at. I was doing kind of keto for a year and a half or two before as well. So my sugar addiction was already way down. It was very hard to kick that. It took a couple of years. So going cold turkey might be hard, but honestly, when you're that full, you don't really feel like anything else. If you really need to tie yourself over, do what I do with this 92% chocolate. Just like with anything, it takes a little while to get used to it, but it becomes second nature way quicker than you realized. And it's really not that hard. Probably the easiest diet I've ever done. There's no special unique ingredients you have to buy. There's no timing. You don't have to worry about your timing, things just right, and wait 3 hours after this and 2 hours before that. You just go. You just go. You'll be on your way.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the keys you mentioned there is that you don't have to, once you're eating this way, you're not thinking about all the other kinds of foods and all the other things to do and whatever. You're just thinking about, well, I'm going to enjoy that next meal as well because that last one was so delicious and
Yeah,
satiating. And it's like, this is probably one of the hints that this is the way we should have been eating in the first place.
that's right. That's exactly right. I haven't looked too much into it, but it makes so much sense when you go back 500, 1,000, 2,000 years ago. You know, um, like this is how they were probably eating. They were nomads and people weren't setting up veggie gardens everywhere they went. They were probably
Right.
hunting and things like that. This is something that I've also changed very much in the last year and seen such an improvement in my health and feel in general. And that is that I've been walking, and I'm not a gym person, but I've been walking several times a week. Oh, I think that paired with carnivore is honestly the perfect lifestyle, the perfect way to live. Something I've also been doing, which I highly recommend, it took a bit of courage at first because I wasn't fit, was something Dr. Sean O'Mara is a proponent of, which is sprinting. And I sprint a couple of times a week now. Oh man, I noticed like my tummy went down like after twice. I literally don't sprint for an hour. I literally, at first, I think it was 7 seconds and then stop, catch your breath, another 7 seconds. Now I'm probably to 25 seconds at a time. I don't think about it. If I say, oh, when I reach that tree, I'm going to start sprinting. Oh my goodness, it's not going to happen. I just have to just think, oh, I need to sprint and go before I change my mind. And it's so good. You can feel how good it is for you. And Dr. Sean O'Mara talks a lot about eliminating visceral fat, which I know I had. A lot of thin people don't realize they have it, but I could tell that I did have it. And I wish I could do an MRI like Dr. O'Mara does before and after. And I know because I can see I've decreased in size, and I'm more toned than I was. And that's literally all I'm doing extra. And I've tried every time I walk, maybe 3, 4 times a week I walk on average, to be honest, not every day. I've tried to sprint kind of more than once or twice a week. My body doesn't do it. My legs feel heavy. Honestly, I go 2 seconds and I'm like, no, my body's not ready for this. So really, probably after 4 days now is the first time I'll try to sprint again. I think it probably takes a lot out of your body to do it. So just listen to your body. But I think that's it's such a small thing. It takes seconds a week, but it's a great thing to try.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to just listening to your body, right?
Mm,
It's like your
mm.
body's saying, "No, I'm not ready yet. Give me a
Yeah,
couple more days, and then you can
yeah,
try again."
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest lessons and that I've learned, that my body talks to me, and just carnivore has taught me to listen to it. What's working and what doesn't work, what I need more of, not really what I need less of because I'm not having much, but just yeah, just listening to the signs your body is giving you. It's quite incredible to start listening to your body.
Yeah, and, I trust what my body's telling me way more than, what Kellogg's are telling me on a TV commercial or something, you know?
I love that. That's good. Good on you. Sadly, not many people do, but that's the way it should be.
Right. So Tehila, if people wanna reach out to you, do you have any social media or a way of getting in contact?
I do, and I want to connect it with something that carnivore has led to in my life as well, which is a lot more discipline. Something that I wasn't expecting. But when I notice when I've been disciplined in what I've been eating, that's translated into being disciplined in a whole lot of other areas. In the way I spend my time, in the way I keep my house, in the way I just self discipline. It kind of has translated into other forms. So that's such a wonderful benefit I have found personally that I wasn't expecting. And I wanted to say, if somebody does do carnivore or wants to start carnivore and notices their desire for greater discipline, even in learning a language, like an ancient language, I teach biblical Hebrew online. So people are welcome to, sharpen their minds that way. So you could just go to Facebook and look up Learn Hebrew NZ, and my Facebook page will come up, or on Google, Learn Hebrew NZ. So yeah, that's something I do and enjoy, kind of, passing on to others.
Yeah, no worries. I'll link to the Facebook page in the show notes. Tehila, thank you so much for coming back on and letting us know how things are going. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you for reaching out, Dave. It's been a privilege and I've enjoyed every second of it. Um, I've got 5 kids, as you know, and I don't get to talk about myself too often. So this was a real treat.